T1138, and I support the right of the English to mispronounce words such as aluminium, garage, and tomato.
Long Bros 1975, using words on the rise, reviewing games late at night and sometimes friends to bug. Long Bros 1975.
Hey YouTube, Longboys Post 1975. Knowing what you know now, do you think there is a system that you had as a kid back in the day that you would have preferred to have owned, you know, its rival or its competition? Now, I say this because as an adult, we all, you know, get to finally own, play and enjoy systems that we never had access to as a kid, but as an adult we get to look at them in a far more objective manner. We, you know, understand its shortcomings, you know, its strong points, its weaknesses, not just the system, the hardware itself, but you know, on the game library, on the size of the library and the sheer number of, you know, of variety in the titles available for it. Because the problem with us back in the day as a kid, brand loyalty was stupid, you know. It was part and parcel that you had to be a fanboy. I mean, it was the law that you had to, you know, fight in the playground, or the playground, you know, wars. As I like to call them. I mean, we all knew of the other systems. They're in all the magazines. You know, we weren't blind to them. We often got to experience them at mates' houses, but you would never admit that that system was better than yours. But as I said, as an adult, you know, knowing what you do know about these systems, but also, you know, being aware of what it was you liked about gaming back in the day on the systems you had, do you think you could make that call now and say, I would have preferred, you know, the opposition? There's nothing wrong with it, you know. There's nothing wrong with the ones you grew up with. I mean, hell, I love my parents for, you know, letting me, you know, be exposed to all these systems. But yeah, it's funny. I mean, if we think about the ones I own, the Spectrum, the opposition would be the Commodore, the Amstrad. I'm still going to go with Spectrum. You know, I know the others were superior machines and the software library was pretty much on par, but yeah, the Spectrum, it just worked for me. It was right up my street as a kid. Next would be the Master System. You know, main rival would be the NES. This is an interesting one because I do appreciate that the NES had a far bigger library, which was pretty much on par with the Master System. But at the same time, the Master System to me was a, you know, and there's no right or wrong answers, so, you know, don't jump down my throat for saying this, a better looking system. But the one I never thought I'd bring myself to say, and that is, you know, my Mega Drive, because it was such a part of my childhood that, you know, I still love and adore. And what I'm going to say now does not detract from that in any way, or the fact that I had a midlife crisis and pieced together my childhood collection. But I've played so much of this lately, and it's not just what you've seen there, you know, on my pointing over there, my gameplays. This machine is absolutely incredible, and what I knew of it back in the day, we all drooled over it in magazines, and technically I was exposed to it because there was one in my household, you know, that belonged to my brother. He just never bought any games for it, you know, certainly not the number that I did for my Mega Drive and my brother did for his Atari and later his Amiga, so I never was truly exposed to it. And I understand that it was an import, but that never stopped me buying my Mega Drive. But I can't work out what it is. If anyone else, you know, has recently started playing a lot of PC Engine, because I've had one for a while, but I haven't, you know, played that much of it. There is a charm about this machine that is incredible. I mean, look at it, the little ickle, brilliant design. I'm loving it. Graphically, it's fantastic. Sonically, it's not as good as the other systems. I really don't, you know, think I would have noticed that as a kid. But it's the library of games. They're just so vast, you know, and varied. And alright, a lot of it's Japanese culture and humour, which, you know, would have been right up my street as a kid. I was exposed to a little of that, you know, in the Mega Drive, but far more of it on here. And as an adult, I'm just thinking, Ickle Dave would have, you know, absolutely adored this. He would have preferred this to the Mega Drive, and it would have been interesting where my gaming habits would have ended up now if that was the case. So I'm just wondering, I can't be alone. Is there anyone else out there now, you know, now that you've finally experienced these machines, can honestly say that you would have preferred to have, you know, the rival to the system you had back in the day, regardless of how much of a fanboy you were back then, you know, as an adult now, knowing it and knowing what you like then, you know, would you prefer to have any of the, you know, the competitor systems to what you did? Can't be alone. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.